Back live tonight here on In Focus. Let's turn to this now. uMkhonto party says it will not comment publicly on the expulsion of its former members of parliament who were recently sworn in after failed attempts to try and engage MK party president Jacob Zuma. 10 of the ex-MPs are demanding answers from the party through litigation. All right, let's speak to Thamsanqa Khuzwayo, now member of the MK party, who's joining us on the line. Thamsanqa, good to have you. Thank you very much for your time. What do you make of the appointment of a national high command structure that is announced in the MK party? Does it give you hope that maybe your matter can be looked at by an independent party of individuals?
Thank you so much for having me, sir. Yes, I'm very happy with the announcement from the MK party today, because it means that now we have a solid structure where whatever grievances that as members, we can be able to address them. So I am very happy. And looking at the people who are there, it gives me hope, because those are comrades who are educated to also have experience in politics. So I'm really much positive, and I know that from now on, the MK party is going to be taking a very different posture from what has been happening.
The deputy president saying, well, I mean, you're entitled, of course, to take this matter to court, as any individual is entitled to. But what are the major allegations that you are actually bringing around your court case?
Well, firstly, my brother, is that, there's a procedure to be followed when MPs are being removed from parliament. And of course, they need to follow some procedures within their constitution and within whatever states that the organization takes. There has to be some sort of a procedure that they do. So, unfortunately for us, there was never any procedure. We never got any letters or any communication from the party, but we only got communication from the parliament to say that our membership has been terminated because of a communication from the chief whip. So that is what we are challenging in court.
So there are those who are saying, well, you were never guaranteed positions as members of uMkhonto party. You are volunteers. You volunteer in a party deployment. Currently, of course, as we heard even through the press briefing, is handled by the former president of the country, the current president of uMkhonto, Jacob Zuma. He's the one who deploys, redeploys, and can recall anyone, anywhere, at any time. Were you aware of this?
Well, my brother, like I told you, unfortunately, we do not have a structure, a solid structure. So our deployment, there was never anything that was said to us with regards to the redeployment. We never got any communication from the party. No one spoke to us as members. No one said that we're going to go into parliament and then we're going to be removed after 2 months. There was no such communication. We only got a communication from parliament without receiving any communication from the party, whether verbally or through a letter. We were ambushed by a letter from the speaker to say that our membership as MPs has been terminated. And that is what we are fighting in court. I understand that every organization have a right to deploy and redeploy people at any given time. But I believe that if you want to be fair to your members and be fair to people who deploy, you must give them time. Maybe if we were given time to say that, guys, after 3 months or so, we're going to redeploy you to other positions or rather into new platforms or departments within the party, we would have accepted that, because we can't defy the party. But unfortunately, we know for a fact that the president had no idea of our removal from parliament. It was just something that was created by a group who maybe dislikes us, or maybe had their own agendas, or they wanted to put their friends and their families into these positions, because we are aware that in the list of our replacements, there's like 4 members of Ubaba Ngubane, who is the chief whip of the party. So that is why we were in court. We're challenging it simply because we have not been removed for a good purpose, but it is only to serve some individuals' interest and to put their family members. You cannot remove people from parliament only to put 4 members of your family into parliament.
So you're saying your challenge of this in the court, your legal challenge of this matter is not because you are undermining the leadership. It's not to undermine the leadership at all?
Definitely, we cannot undermine the leadership. In fact, we joined the MK party simply because we believe in the leadership. We believe in President Jacob Zuma. We believe in his decisions and his vision for the country. We are not at liberty to undermine him or to defy him, but we are simply asking for justice because we believe that the necessary procedures and protocols have not been followed. We are where we are because there are people who are trying to do their own things without consulting the party and consulting us as MPs, and also without consulting the president himself.
Why do you think your matter was not escalated to the president?
Like I said, one of the people within this group who are trying to remove us is the president's daughter, Newzroom Zuma. So she has done all in her power to make sure that we don't get to the president. I mean, she has all the authority because the appointments and everything, the schedule of the president is done through her. So she has made sure that we cannot see the president.
Even if your court challenge becomes successful, I mean, if that is the nature of your relationship with the daughter of the leader of the party, how do you see your prospects in this organization going forward? I mean, what would be your future relationship with this organization, having that fractured relationship with Newzroom Zuma?
Well, when you're in a revolution, you must always expect that it's not going to be smooth. That is why it is called a revolution. It means there's going always to be some things that you need to overcome. So this is part of a challenge that we need to overcome as soldiers and also as commanders in the MK party. So whatever happens, it happens. We'll remain members of the MK party until the president says we must not be members.
And these questions around letters of resignations, are you suggesting that those letters could have been forged and therefore are you pursuing that matter legally?
Well, if there are those that are let's say some of us have resigned, like for myself, a letter from the chief whip to parliament said that I had resigned from the party, and I know very well that I never resigned from the party. And if there is any kind of that letter, it is a fraudulent letter, and that is why we're in court, we're challenging that thing. They must present that letter. We must see the signature, and whoever signed that letter must come and answer to court. Because I know for a fact that I never signed any resignation letter.
And the view that those who are now being brought into that list were always originally supposed to have been in that list. So there could have been a tampering with the list of those who are going to parliament. Hence, your names would have appeared there wrongly, so to speak. And this is to rectify that particular wrong.
Well, my brother, I don't know anything about that in terms of making a fraudulent list. I have no idea as to how or where they got that information. But what I know is that everyone was in the initial list, the final list, where people were supposed to be there, including the president himself. He was there. Tutuzile was there, Ntlamulo and all the likes. They were all there. And they were challenging the removal of President Jacob Zuma from the list in court. So if the list was fraudulent, then why did we have to go to court to challenge why President Zuma is being removed from the list? So we need to be careful of such things and just make sure that we do our research and challenge everything as it is, because if the list was fraudulent, then why did we have to go to court to challenge the removal of President Jacob Zuma from the list?
Yeah. Kobe, I'm just trying to understand this. I mean, to me, it would seem quite easy to say you were in the list, your party can come to you and say, we've taken a strategic turn in terms of our direction, and we would like to include comrades who are not members. I think it was reiterated in the press today that there are some who will be deployed to parliament who are not members of MK, but because of their expertise and their experience in parliament, they would be deployed there. It would be a simple thing to sit you down and explain that to you. Why would people in your party go through the length of trying to get you out via a back door and not be able to sit around the table with you and address these issues?
Like I said, the process was not honest, my brother. They would just use one person who's known across the country, and then the rest of the people they are putting in are people who are not known. It's just a matter of funding. Like it has been happening with Ubaba Baron Molefe. It's been communicated throughout media that is going to go into parliament, both as experience and whatnot and so forth. But we know that the others who are behind him, they are not people who are experienced. So this is just a matter of removing people that we don't like from parliament and putting our own people. It's not a matter of experience or whatsoever. But I don't want to speak ill of the organization. Like I said, I don't believe the president had an idea of what is going on. And if he did, I would be very much disappointed as a young person who believes in uMkhonto weSizwe, who have been following the president from 2016, who has been making sure, or rather advocating for him. So for me, it would be very difficult to accept that the president knew about this entire thing. Yeah. According to my knowledge, the president had no idea, and he had no role to play in this thing. It's just some people within the organization who have power who have done this.
So where you sit right now, you are still comfortable with the position of the president being fully in charge of positions, fully in charge of appointments, fully in charge of redeployments without contestation?
Well, fortunately enough, like I said, we are lucky because a new structure has been introduced in the MK party, which means we are going to have democracy. Decisions are going to be discussed in a table, and it's not just going to be a one-man show. There's going to be people in the table who are going to discuss matters and take resolutions on them. So I believe that going forward, the MK party is in good hands, and we rely so much in the leadership that has been appointed.
A lot will, of course, come up on the September 3rd case, which has now been moved up. At least it will happen speedily. But in terms of evidentiary evidence, I mean, do you have letters of appointment, or were you just merely told that you're being taken to Parliament?
Well, you must understand the process of being in Parliament. Firstly, you need to submit your ID number. You need to submit your particulars before you can be in the list. So our particulars were requested and we submitted them. That's why we were in the list.
But I'm saying in terms of communication from the party, did the party communicate with you, Thamsanqa Khuzwayo, to say, we are sending you to Parliament as a member of the uMkhonto weSizwe party?
Well, at the time, you must understand that the party was still new when this thing was all going on, happening. So the list was submitted to IEC, the names and everything. There's no such thing, or rather, there's nothing that says you must get a letter from the party to say you're being deployed to Parliament. It is the IEC that sends a letter to you to say that your name has been submitted to their system, and you are in the list to be in Parliament. We have those letters from the IEC, but not from the party. As a matter of fact, the party, through its national elections manager, or whatever you call it in other parties, gets the list of people who are supposed to be in Parliament, and they send those documents or the certificates to those individuals.
And who was that in this case?
In our case, at the time when the MK party was running for elections, it was Rochelle, Sis Rochelle.
Right. And I'm asking because I heard you earlier in the press saying you even inquired to say, does this mean now we need to leave our jobs in order to head to Parliament? So I wanted to understand how that conversation came about.
Like I said, there were people who were working, full-time employed, permanently employed, working for their families, providing for their families, taking their kids to school through their salaries. So when the opportunity to come to Parliament and to serve the party came, they had to consult Ubaba Gubane to say that must we resign from our jobs because we're going to Parliament now. And he did say that they must resign. So that is where my position earlier was on, to say that he advised them to resign, and they resigned. but he knew very well that if just a few weeks down the line, he's going to remove them from Parliament.
Was that an informal communication, or was that a formal communication that would have been expressed that you can resign your jobs, you are heading to Parliament?
This was on an individual communication with him. It was not something that came out officially, but all members or the people who had to inquire with regards to their resignations, they spoke to him personally. So it was not an official communique from the party or from his office, but they spoke to him telephonically and also through WhatsApp.
Yeah. Do you see that as an area maybe that might not be very strong to prove in a court of law, to say you were somewhat coerced into resignation, that this was a voluntary act on your part to resign from work?
Well, those are matters for my attorneys to answer. I'm not going to dwell much on the legalities of the matter. I think that is a question for my attorneys to answer.
Yeah. At this stage, you are saying you are still fully behind uMkhonto weSizwe. You're a member. You are not expelled from the party. You want this clarity in court. Following whatever outcome, you will still remain a member of the uMkhonto weSizwe party.
Yeah, like I said, my brother, we believe in the MK party. We believe in President Jacob Zuma as a leader. The matter is subject to care, as Judge Hlophe alluded earlier on the media briefing of the MK party. So we're waiting on the court to take a decision, and whatever the court decides, we are going to follow suit.
Kwabi, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Thamsanqa Khuzwayo, member of the MK party, part of those members who are currently in court, of course, challenging the decision of them being abruptly suspended or expelled, at least from the party, as well as the National Assembly. Right.